Good evening, yogis. My name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga, and thank you for joining me for practice today. I appreciate everyone's patience. I was definitely taking a nice little vacation last week and had a couple days off from streaming this week. I was teaching some classes around here in the Baltimore area outdoors, so that was nice. But we are back in action on YouTube this week, so thank you everyone for joining me this evening. We have a level 2 class today, Friday nights, level 2, and this is kind of a shoulder opener, core focus class. Definitely focused on the shoulders though. That's where I keep most of my stress, and I really love shoulder opening practices. So that's what we're going to work on now. It's going to be a little technical, so it'll actually be kind of fun. And here's Oliver saying hi. Some of you haven't seen Oliver in a while, so he's just saying hi. Um, I'm just making sure everything works too. It took me a second to reset everything back up, the whole streaming setup. So I think everything sounds and looks good. Um, but yes, it'll be a little bit more technical. We'll start a little bit differently, but it will still be a nice, fun class. Even though it's level 2, I'll still give modifications along the way. So even if you're a little bit newer to class, you'll have some options to challenge yourself in different ways. So we'll actually, as far as props, no real props are needed. If you have anything, you can keep them nearby that you normally practice with, blocks or towels or straps or whatever. You can keep that nearby, but nothing's particularly designed for that today. So we'll actually get started a little bit differently, and we'll get started standing today. So when you're ready, meet me in a nice standing position. Your legs can be a little bit wider than hips width distance, basically just how you naturally stand here. Just give your knees a nice little soft bend here. And just make sure you have space around you. We're about to open up our shoulder joints a little bit, loosen them up. So just make sure you have some space here. And we'll start by moving that. So again, keep your knees nice and soft here. Try and draw your tailbone down. And we'll start moving our arms. So keep your arms nice and long. Start by moving them back and forward. And just keep going like that. You can go as slow or as fast as you'd like. Just know that it's early in practice, and we're just doing this to kind of wake up the shoulders, a little bit of lubrication in the joints. So just start moving the arms in the first direction here, and let's slow it down. And then let's move in the opposite direction. So both arms are moving in the same direction at the same time. Lori, I saw you signed in. I appreciate you saying hi. Good to see your name always pop up. Glad to see you're in class today. Let's begin to slow that down. Now we'll move one arm at a time. So let's start with the right arm. Let's move the right arm forward, first direction that we went. Again, just don't think about it too much. Keep your arm nice and long, but just let it come forward and back. Now let's slow it down. Let's move the opposite direction. Kind of notice too, how does your shoulder move? How does your chest and your back move as you're just kind of letting your arm go forward and back? All right, we're going to settle that down. Let's move to the other side. So starting in the first direction, with your opposite arm, keeping the arm nice and long, but again, just kind of let it rotate forward and back. Still keeping your knees nice and soft here. Now let's switch the other direction. Here we go. Just keeping it nice and loose here. Okay, you can begin to slow. It'll make sense later in practice while we're all doing that, but we'll come right back down onto our seats with our knees bent here. So coming onto your seat, have your knees bent and go ahead and hug both knees into your chest. You can wrap your hands around your shins or your thighs, gently hugging your knees into your chest. And just start to roll left and right, just gently massaging that low back. So just very gentle rolls from side to side. Starting with a little bit of massage here. All right, let's come back to stillness. Keep the right knee hugged in. Let's extend and straighten the left leg straight out. Release that left heel to the mat. Let's flex both toes so they draw back toward your face. Try and bring some awareness to this inner left tri. Try and spin that inner left thigh in and down towards the mat. keeping your knee and your toes facing up towards the sky. Draw this right knee in towards that right shoulder a little bit more as you extend out through the left heel. Stay for one more breath here. And let's switch that up. Draw the left knee in, extend the right leg straight out. Release the right heel to the mat, flexing both toes. Releasing that right inner thigh down towards the mat this time, keeping the right knee and toes facing up towards the sky. Drawing the left knee in a little bit closer as you extend out through that right heel. Keep your shoulders on the mat, staying for one more breath. And let's switch that up. So one more time each side, you have the option to advance. So draw the right knee in, extend the left leg straight out. This time, if you'd like, you can hover that left heel off the mat, maybe an inch or two, flexing the foot. This time, if you have that leg hovered, maybe draw the navel in and down, reducing a little bit of arch in your low back that might happen here. So we're starting to engage the core to help us in this posture here. Same thing, spin that inner left thigh in and down. Draw the right knee in, extend out through the left heel wherever you are. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, release. We'll switch to the other side. So now left knee draws in, right leg straight out. Same option as before. I got Oliver trying to give me a hug here. You can hover that right heel off the mat if you'd like, or drop it down. Either way, both toes are flexed, releasing that inner right thigh in and down. Knee faces up towards the sky. Draw that navel in and down. Left knee draws to left shoulder. Extend out through the right heel for one more breath. And exhale as you draw both knees into your chest. Give a gentle squeeze. And we'll come right up into tabletop. So your way, if you like to roll up and down your spine by grabbing the backs of your thighs, you can do that a couple times. Crossing your legs and coming forward into tabletop. If you just like to let your legs fall off to the side and pressing yourself up, you can do that. So whatever way you prefer, we'll all meet in our tabletop. Make sure your wrists are below your shoulders, knees are below your hips, a little bit closer together. Bring the tops of your feet to the mat. Looking for those nice right angles between our shoulders and our hips and our knees here. Fingers are nice and spread. Make sure the wrist creases line up with the short edge of the mat. Draw the navel in and up, just like when you're on the mat on your back. Engaging the core muscles. Chin slightly tucked, gaze is up towards the top of your mat. Stay for one more breath. All right, let's add our cow-cat. So start by inhaling, dropping the navel, tailbone lifts, heart comes forward, look up. And exhale, rounding the back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy. So keep moving back and forth. So as you inhale, the tailbone lifts, navel drops, heart comes forward. And as you exhale, rounding the spine, letting that head hang heavy into your cat pose. So keep going back and forth 3 more times each way on your breath. Just move nice and slow. Use this as an opportunity to connect your breath to your movement. A lot of times that can help you get deeper into your pose or just connect better to whatever you're trying to accomplish in class today. We'll do 1 more each way. And meet me back down in a nice little tabletop here. We'll add our arm and leg extensions. So begin by curling the right toes under, extend and press that right heel back, and lift the right leg up to hip height. Notice when you lift that leg up, does your hip open up? You want to keep that nice and square to the mat. Keep flexing the right toes, and let's add the left arm. So extend the left arm forward, thumb up, pinky down, palm faces in. If this is too much, you can always drop your toe and your fingertips back down to the mat. Otherwise, we're holding here for a couple breaths. So keep firming that right tricep in. Try to keep the left bicep next to your ear. Thighs up to hip height. We're pressing back through the right heel, extending forward through those left fingertips. Stay for one more breath. Exhale as you gently release back down into your tabletop. We'll switch to the other side. So now we'll curl the left toes under, extend and straighten the left leg back. Again, notice as you raise your left leg up to hip height, as your hip open, maybe you can drop it down a bit. Flexing the left toes, and then we'll add the right arm. Extending the right arm straight forward, thumb up, pinky down, palm faces in. Drawing the navel in and up. Same option as before. If you'd like, you can release the toes and the fingertips to the mat for balance. Either way, keep drawing the navel up, bicep next to ear, pressing back through that left heel, extending out through the right fingertips. Staying for one more breath, and exhale as we gently release back down into our tabletop. Okay, so recenter yourself in your tabletop. We'll come down to our forearms. So look where your wrists are and drop your elbows right where your wrists are. So we'll come into a forearm tabletop here. Make sure your hands and your elbows are still shoulder width distance, and your shoulders start directly over your elbows. Hips are still over the knees, and we'll add our cow cats here. So I want you to notice how this might feel different. So we'll inhale as we drop our navel, tailbone lifts, heart comes forward, look up. And then exhale, round your back, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy. Keep going, three more times each way. And again, just notice maybe you have more or less mobility here as compared to your traditional cow cats on your hands. Maybe you feel a little more in your low back or your neck this way. This is always an option to do your cat cows or your tabletop poses on your forearms as well. Sometimes it's nice to give your wrist a rest this way. So just do one more each way. And meet me in a nice neutral spine, chin slightly tucked. We're pressing back up to our tabletop. So press your wrists back where your elbows were, pressing back up into your tabletop. Keep the tops of your feet to the mat. We'll shift our hips back. We're coming into a modified child's pose. So as you send your hips back, keep your hands exactly where they are. Gently start to lower your forehead to the mat. Lower your forearms down. We're coming right back up. So we'll inhale as we lift ourselves back up into our tabletop. Bring your shoulders back over your wrists. Bringing some movement here. So now we'll exhale, shift the hips back to the heels, our modified child's pose. We'll keep moving. So inhale, shifting back into our tabletop, shoulders over wrists. And exhale back into our child's pose. Let's do that two more times. So we'll inhale, shift forward, shoulders over wrists. And exhale, shifting back. Starting to build a little bit of heat here, a little bit of movement. One more time. Inhale, shifting forward into your tabletop. And exhale, shifting back into your child's pose. So inhale back to your tabletop. Now we have the option to advance. If you want, you can continue repeating that. Otherwise, we'll advance. So if you're coming with me, curl the toes under. Press the heels back, lift the hips up and back, come back into your down dog, pressing the chest back towards the thighs, and we'll move from here. So we inhale as we shift forward, shoulders over wrists. Maybe you need to realign your feet. Exhale, pressing back into your downward facing dog. So keep moving just like that. If this is too much for you, you can switch back to where we were going before, child's pose in the tabletop, or downward facing dog into our plank pose as we're coming. So either way, let's do this two more times, whichever way you're doing. Exhaling as you come back, inhaling as you come forward. Again, just starting to build some heat, waking up the body here. And once you finish your last one, let's all meet back into our downward facing dog. So if you're on your knees, curl your toes under, lifting the hips up. Everyone press back into your downward facing dog. Spinning your inner thighs in and up towards the sky, pressing the heels back and down. Arms are still shoulder width distance, firming the triceps in. Staying for one more breath. And now let's inhale as we gaze forward, bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step all the way up to the top of the mat. Bring your feet hips width distance, but stay in your forward fold. Grab opposite elbows, let your head hang heavy, and gently start to rock left and right. Maybe bend one knee, bend the other. And now switch whichever forearm is on top. Maybe if your cat is nearby, you can give them a couple pets. Oliver seems to be enjoying this practice today. All right, let's meet back in stillness. Release the clasp of your elbows. We'll come up to standing, but nice and slow. Yes, so we'll press down through our feet.
Spin the inner thighs in and back, and inhale as you gently start to stack one vertebrae at a time, lifting up to standing. Let your chin be the last thing to arrive.
And once you've meeting me back up, separate your feet kind of where we started before, so maybe a little bit farther than hips width distance. Have your knees, again, nice and soft. So we'll go through a very similar exercise to where we started practice today. It's an exercise, it's not a pose, it's just a movement here. So arms down to the sides. Let's start with our arms again. So just like we started before, let's bring the arms back and forward a couple times here. But now as you move, just moving naturally here, bring some awareness to your thumbs. See if you can tell where your thumbs are pointing, if they're extending. See if you can just kind of notice where they are on either arm while you're doing this. Let's slow it down. Let's move the opposite directions. Now arms come forward and back. Still loosening up, but same thing. What are your thumbs doing? Are they facing up, down, in? Are they changing as your arms come through and forward and back? Let's slow it down. Now one arm each side. So start with the right arm, come back and forward here. I have a fan right above me, so I gotta be careful I don't go too high up here. But same thing, as that arm come forward and back, notice what your thumb's doing. And let's switch, go in the opposite direction, coming forward and back. Just allowing your shoulder to open as it does. Let's slow that down. Move to the left arm, so just like we were in the beginning, but again, you're just noticing what your thumb's doing here. So start in your first direction here. Keep your knee softened. Begin to slow this down. Let's move in the opposite direction. And this will make sense in a moment, hopefully. We'll see. You all will be the judge of that. All right, let's begin to slow it down. And let's come back to the top of the mat if you're not already there. Bring your feet back to hips width distance. Place your hands on your hips, thumbs behind, fingers in front. Coming into our mountain pose, let's use our hands to help us. Use your thumbs to draw your tailbone down, fingers to lift the frontal hip points up. Broaden through the collarbones, draw the shoulder blades down your back. Keep all of that, and just release your arms, straighten them, have your palms face forward. Make sure your feet are nice and parallel, heels behind those center toes. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. So let's start to move. Let's inhale, bring the arms up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lifting up halfway, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Come back up to stand, press down through your feet. Inhale, lift the arms out and up. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. One more time. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lifting up halfway, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, lift the arms out and up overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hands down through center, down to the sides. Let's add on. So inhale, bring the arms back up overhead, soften the shoulders down. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lifting up halfway, maybe start to straighten the legs, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Let's plant the palms this time, so stay low. Plant the palms shoulder width distance. Step your right foot back, step your left foot back in your plank pose. Hold your plank pose for 3 breaths. You always have the option to drop down to your knees. Either way, keep your shoulders over your wrists. Keep spinning those inner thighs in and up towards the sky this time as you press back through the heels. Chin is slightly tucked. Make sure those elbow creases are facing forward. Let's all drop our knees to the mat. Shift forward, bend the elbows back, and lower all the way to the mat. Once you lower, bring the tops of your feet to the mat. Push your feet down, hips down. Inhale, lift your head up, chest up, baby cobra. We'll hold for 2 breaths here. Try to release the tailbone down towards the heels. Draw the shoulders down your back. Keep firming the elbows in towards each other. On your next exhale, release your forehead back down to the mat. Curl the toes under. We'll lift up into our downward dog. Come through your plank pose with your knees down first if you need to. We'll all meet in our downward facing dog, staying here for 3 breaths. Make sure those hands are shoulder width distance, feet are hips width distance. Pressing the heels back and down. Firming the triceps in. Pressing the chest back towards the thighs. Keep lifting the hips up to where the ceiling meets the wall.
for one more breath. And now we'll stay low. We'll shift forward, release our knees back down towards the mat. Bring your shoulders back over your wrists. We'll come back down onto our bellies. So we'll shift forward, bend the elbows back, and lower all the way to the mat. All right, bring the tops of your feet to the mat. We'll add another back bend here. This is our Shalabhasana locust pose variation. So let's extend both arms back behind us. Option one, if you can, clasp your fingers together behind your back, resting on kind of like your tailbone. If you can't quite clasp your fingers, you can just bring your hands to your lower back. Try and bring your pinkies towards each other. If your hands are clasped, bring your wrists to touch. See if you can straighten the arms. And we'll add our back bend. So keep the feet pressing into the mat, press the hips down, and on your inhale, lift your head up, chest up, just like in baby cobra. And then maybe you start to straighten the arms, lifting the arms up off your back. Keep releasing that tailbone down towards your heels. Gaze is forward, not up. Keep the chin slightly tucked. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release the forehead back down. Release the clasp of your fingers or release your hands from your back. Place the hands back beside your ribs, fingers forward. Make sure those wrists are underneath your elbows. Let's curl the toes under, lifting back up into our downward facing dog. Maybe you lift right up. Maybe you come through plank pose with your knees down first. See if you want to challenge yourself today. So just stay for 2 breaths in our down dog. One more breath here. And now let's inhale as we gaze forward and bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Feet hips width distance. Inhale, lift up halfway. Nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Coming back up to standing, press down through your feet. Inhale, lift the arms out and up, overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Take a moment and we'll move on to a little different sequence here. So on your next inhale, bring the arms back up overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lifting up halfway. And exhale, forward fold. So stay low, keep your left foot forward, step your right leg back. Let's drop the right knee down towards the mat. And inhale as you lift the arms up, torso up, coming into your Anjaneyasana pose. Make sure this right knee is back further than the hip. So we don't want it directly underneath. We want it farther back if you can. Back toes can be curled or uncurled. See if you want to play around with it, what might work better for you. But now bring your hands to your hips, just like when we were standing, thumbs behind, fingers in front. Try to use your thumbs to draw the tailbone down, fingers to lift the frontal hip points up, and then maybe start to shift your hips forward, send your heart forward, sending your torso forward. Just try to keep the left knee tracking over that left ankle. So if you need to, you might need to walk that foot forward. But now here, draw the left thigh back and see if you can rotate the right thigh forward. That'll more square your hips towards the front edge of your mat. Staying for one more breath here. And now let's inhale, bring the arms back up overhead. Exhale, hinge forward. Release both arms to either side of that left foot. Curl the right toes under, lift the right knee up. Step the right foot up to meet the left foot, hips width distance. Inhale, lifting up halfway. And exhale, forward fold. Stay low. We'll switch to the other side. So planting the palms, keep the right foot forward, step the left foot back. Drop the left knee to the mat. Just make sure you're nice and settled in here. We'll press down through the feet, lift the arms out and up, overhead, palms face each other. Again, make sure that left knee is farther behind that left hip. Right knee tracks over right ankle. Let's release the hands down to the hips now, thumbs forward, fingers back. Use your thumbs to draw that tailbone down, fingers to lift the frontal hip points up. Maybe you then start to shift your weight a little bit forward, a little bit more of a bend in that front knee. Maybe you walk those toes forward. But keep drawing this right hip back and the left hip forward. Again, that'll square your pelvis more so towards the front edge side of your mat, which is what we're going for. Just stay for one more breath here. And now let's inhale, bring the arms back up overhead. Exhale, hinge forward, release both arms to the ground. Curl the left toes under, lift the left knee up. This time send the right foot to meet the back foot.
we'll vinyasa through. So let's drop our knees down, shift forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat, push your feet down, hips down. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra, just for a breath here. Exhale as you gently release, curling the toes under, lifting up into your down dog. Come through plank pose first if you need to. Just stay for 2 breaths in your down dog. Just one more breath here. And now inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Feet hips width distance. Inhale, lifting up halfway. And exhale, forward fold. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift the arms out and up. Overhead, palms face each other. Exhale, hands down through center, down to the sides. All right, we're starting to get warmed up here. Let's face the long edge side of your mat now. So facing the long edge, we'll come into a wide-legged stance. Starting in your mountain pose, we're just separating our legs out wide. About one leg's distance, you can measure if you extend your arms out. Basically, where right underneath your wrists is where your ankles will be, but make sure your feet are nice and parallel. Heels behind those center toes. Bring your hands to your hips. Again, use those thumbs to draw the tailbone down, fingers to lift those frontal hip points up. Now, let's clasp our hands behind our back again, just like when we were on our stomach. So our fingers clasped behind our back. If that doesn't quite work for you, just place your hand on your lower back. Try and bring the pinky side edge to touch. If your hands are clasped, bring your wrist to touch. Start to straighten the arms. Maybe start to lift the arms off the back slightly here. So let's inhale as we add a slight back bend, lift the heart up towards the sky. Exhale, we'll hinge forward, come forward into your forward fold. Wide-legged forward fold here. Keep firming the legs in towards each other. Once you lower about halfway, you can add a slight tuck of the chin, let the head hang heavy. Keep shifting the weight more so into the toes, but keep the heels on the mat. Keep drawing the kneecaps up towards your hips to engage the quadriceps. Maybe lift the arms off your back just a little bit more, staying for 2 more breaths. Make sure you breathe nice and slowly here. One more breath in your wide-legged forward fold. And now inhale as you lift back up halfway. Bend in the knees, exhale, and raise yourself back up to stand. Release the clasp of the arms. Bring your arms back to your hips. Just take a moment to settle back in here. All right, let's heel toe those feet back into hips width distance and come back to the top of your mat. Actually, this time let's bring our feet to touch. So at the top of your mat, big toes touch, heels separate. Release your arms down to the sides. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. All right, coming into our chair pose. So we'll inhale as we bend our knees, send our hips back, arms come forward. Settling in here. Again, your feet and your knees are touching. You're firming your triceps in, keeping the palms facing towards each other. Keep firming the thighs in as well. Make sure you can look down and see the toes. We're adding a twist here. So start by bringing the hands to the center of your chest in your prayer pose. We'll inhale as we lengthen through our spine. Exhale, keep the low body as it is. Twist to your right, twisting from the navel up. Again, low body stays where it is. Maybe you need to draw that left hip back. Option to stay here if you want to release that left elbow to the right knee. Either way, you're pressing the palms in towards each other, trying to draw that right shoulder back. Maybe you gaze up to look towards the sky. Staying for one more breath here. Exhale, release back into your chair pose with the hands at the center of your chest. Take a nice deep inhale to reset. Nice long spine. Exhale, twist to the left this time, opposite direction. Same thing here. Maybe you draw the right hip back. Option to release that right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Either way, you're drawing that left shoulder back, pressing the palms in towards each other. Maybe you gaze up towards the sky. Let's stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release back into your chair. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, let's forward fold. Stay in your forward fold for a breath, just allowing yourself to release here. And let's inhale as we lift up halfway, nice long spine.
And exhale, forward fold. Plant your palms, step both feet back again into your plank pose. Holding plank for 3 breaths. Always have the option to drop down to your knees. But keep spinning those inner thighs in and up towards the sky. Shoulders stacked over wrists. Stay for 1 more breath. And now your option, as we vinyasa through, knees down or up as you shift forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat. Press the feet down, hips down. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. Maybe you start to straighten the arms into half cobra or full cobra. We're holding for just 1 more breath here. And exhale as you gently release. Curling the toes under. Lifting all the way back up into your downward facing dog. Staying for a breath here. Now we're going to start with the left leg. So lift the left leg up and back to hip height, flexing the left toes. Again, notice if your hip opened up. We want to keep that closed for now. So release that left hip back down, but keep flexing that left foot back. Now bend the left knee into your chest and shift your torso forward so the shoulders come over the wrists, and step your left foot up to the top of the mat. Keep that right knee up, that back knee, but we'll release the right heel to the mat. So releasing that right heel down, we're coming into our warrior 2 feet. So walk the left toes over towards the center of your mat. Make sure you have heel to arch alignment. Left toes face forward, right toes face the long edge side of your mat. Bring the left arm to the inside, right arm up to the sky. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift up into your warrior 2. Shoulder squared with the long edge side of your mat. Let's make this dynamic. Inhale, straighten the leg, bring both arms overhead. Exhale, warrior 2. 3 more times. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, warrior 2. 1 more time. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, warrior 2. Settle into your warrior 2 here for a couple breaths. Make sure your shoulders are softening away from your ears. Left knee tracks towards the left pinky side edge of that foot. Keep firming that outer left thigh in. Press back to the outer edge of that right heel. Gaze can come over those left fingertips. Staying for 1 more breath. Now we'll add our side angle pose. So low body stays just as it is. Send the left arm forward as much as you can. When you can't go any further, release the left arm to the inside of the left thigh. Right arm up to the sky. Stay here. Options to advance. You can release the left arm to the inside or outside edge of that left thigh. Fingertips or palm comes to the mat. Right arm can stay up, or you can release and extend the arm forward so the palm faces down. Bicep next to your ear. Option for the gaze to look under the arm up towards the ceiling. Keep trying to open and draw the right shoulder back, firming the left thigh in and under, pressing back through that right heel for stability. Staying for 1 more breath. Press down through your feet and inhale, lift back up into your warrior 2. Let's reverse. Drop our right arm down, lift the left palm up to the sky, reverse side bend over the right side. And exhale, send the spiral the arms forward and down to either side of that left foot. Come up on the back heel. Send the left foot to meet the back foot. We'll vinyasa through. So knees down or up as you shift forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. Baby half or full cobra. Maybe come up to upward facing dog, firming the ankles in, lifting the thighs off the mat. On your exhale, you can release, curling the toes under, lifting back up into your down dog. Coming through plank pose if you need to first. We'll switch to the other side. So we'll lift the right leg up and back to hip height. Pressing back through the right heel. Spinning that right thigh in and up towards the sky, but make sure you keep that right hip down. Now bend the right knee into our chest, shift forward, step the right foot up to the top of the mat. I'm just going to switch just so you can see me better. We'll drop the left heel down, heel to the right foot in towards the center of the mat so you have heel to arch alignment. Right arm to the inside, left arm to the sky. Press down through your feet, lift up into your warrior 2. Settle in here for a moment. We'll add our movement. So we inhale, we straighten the front leg, bring both arms overhead. Exhale, rebend, warrior 2. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, warrior 2. 2 more times. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, warrior 2. Last time, inhale, straighten.
Exhale, warrior two. Settle into your warrior two here. Make sure that right knee tracks over the right ankle, going towards the pinky side edge of that right foot. Shoulders are squared to the long edge side of your mat. Arms out at shoulder height, palms face down. Soften those shoulders away from the ears. Gaze can come over those right fingertips. One more breath here. Now adding our side angle pose. So send the right arm forward. When you can't go any further, release the right arm to the inside of the right thigh. Left arm straight up to the sky. Left palm faces forward. Keep firming that outer right hip under and advance if you'd like. You can release the right arm to the inside or outside edge of that right thigh. Fingertips or palm comes to the mat. Now option to add that left arm overhead if you'd like, bicep next to ear, left palm faces down. Wherever you are, keep firming that outer right hip in and under. Draw the left shoulder back. Try and spiral the right ribs up towards the sky. Pressing back through the left heel, maybe the gaze comes up towards the sky. Stay for one more breath. Now press down through your feet. Inhale, lift back up into your warrior two pose. Let's reverse. Drop the left arm down, right palm up to the sky. Raise the right arm up, side bend over the left side. And exhale, spiral forward and down. Bring both arms to either side of the right foot. Come up on that back foot. Send the right foot to meet the back foot in your plank pose. Vinyasa, your way. Knees down or up as you shift forward. You can lower half or all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. Exhale, release. Curling the toes under, lifting back up into your downward facing dog. And now we'll shift forward, stay low, drop the knees to the mat. Shifting your torso forward, bending the elbows, lower all the way down to the mat again. Bring the tops of your feet to the mat. We're staying low here. So, let the tops of the feet to the mat. We'll come into our Sphinx pose. So, we'll bring our elbows underneath our shoulders, and our wrists and our forearms will stay shoulder width distance. So, just like when we were in our forearm tabletop, we'll bring our elbows back underneath our shoulders. So make sure you measure up. I'm using the camera to kind of help me just to see how good I am here. So make sure you have your shoulders over your elbows. Tops of the feet to the mat, feet or hips width distance. Now you might already feel this in your low back, so just give it a second to rest and try and draw the tailbone down towards the heels. This is a pose just in itself, just staying here in our Sphinx pose. Try and keep your heart high, actually sending it forward. Slight tuck of the chin, gazes forward. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. We're moving forward with half Dhanurasana, half bow pose on either side. If you want to move into your full bow pose, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, we'll move to one side each time. And if you just want to stay in your Sphinx pose right here, go for it. So we'll start on the right side. To start on the right side, we'll actually extend the left arm forward. So bring the fingertips to the mat, extending the left arm straight out. Now bend the right knee and then flex the right foot so the bottom of the right foot faces up towards the sky. Now remember when we were doing our shoulder exercises, we'll now send the right arm forward, up and back, keeping the thumb facing up towards the sky as you try and draw the inside, grab the inside edge of the right foot. So the thumb should keep facing up towards the sky. Now, once you settle in here, you can stay right here if you'd like. If you want to advance, drop the right shoulder down, send the heart forward, and start pressing the top of the right foot into the right hand. Spinning the inner right thigh in and up towards the sky. Maybe the right thigh lifts off the ground. Final option to advance if you'd like, send the left arm up, straight out, bringing it off the mat. Palm faces in, finger down, thumb up. Keep dropping that right shoulder down. Stay for one more breath. And gently release the thigh down. Come back into your Sphinx pose nice and slowly, just to reset and resettle here. All right, so how did that feel? There's a lot going on there. We'll have the option to move to the other side. So if you were just doing the full bow pose, you can repeat that again if you'd like. Otherwise, we're moving to the other side. So now from here, we'll start by extending the right arm straight out. Come up on the right fingertips with the right arm extended. Bending the left knee, top of the left foot faces up towards the sky. And now send the left arm forward and up overhead behind, keeping the thumb facing up the entire time if you can. Option to grab the inside edge of that left foot. Now, if this is enough, you can stay right here. Either way, we'll drop that left shoulder down. If you're advancing, you can press the top of the left foot into the left hand, bending the inner left thigh in and up towards the sky. Maybe the left thigh lifts off the mat. Keep pressing the top of the right foot into the mat. Final option, extend the right arm straight ahead, pinky down, thumb up. Keep dropping that left shoulder forward, staying for one more breath, and exhale, gently release. Release the foot, come back into your Sphinx pose just for a moment here, and we'll release by letting both forearms, I should say, grab both elbows, make a little pillow with your forearms, and then rest your forehead on your forearms. So just make it a little pillow by grabbing opposite elbows. Now, just to help release the low back, let's bend both knees, keep your forehead down, and just gently windshield wiper your feet from side to side. Just a nice little windshield wiper here. It's a good quadricep little massage as well, keeping the feet flexed. All right, let's come back to center. Let's gently release the top of the feet back down to the mat. Place your hands back beside your ribs, fingers forward, wrists back. Make sure those wrists are underneath the elbows. You might need to check. Let's curl the toes under, so listen carefully. Curling the toes under, press the heels back so the knees and the thighs start to lift off the mat. We're going to press up into our plank pose. So have your chin slightly tucked. Keep drawing the tailbone down towards the heels. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, press straight up into your plank pose, shoulders over wrists. And then we'll lift the hips up and back, come into our downward facing dog. Stay here for a couple deep breaths. It's always good to have for your homework. You can practice that on your own. And now let's inhale as we gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Bring your big toes to touch. Heels separate. Inhale, lifting up halfway. Nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Come back into your chair pose. Knees bend, arms forward, palms face each other just for a breath. And exhale, hands down through center as you straighten the legs, arms down to the side. Take a couple deep breaths here before we move on to our final sequence. I've still got Oliver right down here in front of me. You might be able to see a little bit of him on the edge of the mat. He is out like a light. All right, let's come back to the top of your mat if you're not already still there. Again, bring your big toes to touch, heels separate, arms down to the sides. Soften your shoulders down, release the tailbone down. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale as you come back into your chair pose, holding just for a breath here. And exhale as you hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lifting up halfway, nice long spine. Maybe you straighten those legs. And exhale, forward fold. Stay low, plant your palms, step your right foot back, step your left foot back. Vinyasa through your way. Knees down or up as you shift forward. Bend the elbows lower all the way or halfway down. Uncurl the back toes. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. Baby half, full cobra, maybe upward facing dog just for a breath. Exhale as you gently release, curling the toes under, lifting up into your down dog. Come through plank pose if you need to. We're moving right from here. So let's lift the right leg up and back, flexing the right toes. Exhale as you bend the right knee into your chest. Shift the torso forward, shoulders over wrists. Step the right foot up to the top of the mat. Keep that back knee up, both toes facing forward. Press down through your feet and inhale, lift the arms forward and up overhead. Palms face each other. Release the hands down to your hips, same thing as before. Draw the tailbone down, try and lift those frontal hip points up. Keep the right knee tracking over that right ankle. Draw this right hip back. Draw the left hip forward. Now bring the hands into the center of your chest. We're moving into our warrior three pose. So take a nice deep inhale as you hinge forward 45 degrees. And exhale, shift forward, lift up off the back leg, lower your torso parallel with the mat. Left leg lifts up to parallel. Keep flexing that back foot, dropping the left hip down. Keep pressing down through the right heel, firming this outer right hip in. Chin stays tucked. Stay for one more breath in your warrior three. Exhale, bending the front knee, release that left leg back down. Lift your torso back up, arms overhead, palms face each other. And exhale, arms come forward and down to either side of that right foot. Step the right foot to meet the back foot. Vinyasa your way, shifting forward, knees down or up. Lower all the way or halfway down, tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. And exhale, meeting your downward facing dog. Now we'll move right to the other side. You know what's coming. Let's lift that left leg up and back to hip height. Exhale as you bend the knee into your chest. Shift forward, shoulders over wrist. Step the left foot up to the top of the mat. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift the arms up, torso up, palms face each other. And exhale, release the hands down to the hips. Thumbs back, fingers forward. Again, use the thumbs to draw the tailbone down, fingers to lift that frontal hip point up. Draw the left hip back, the right hip forward. Bring the hands into the center of your chest. Take a nice deep inhale as you hinge forward 45 degrees. And exhale, press up, lift off the back leg. Drop into your warrior three. Chest is parallel with the mat, lifting the leg up to hip height, flexing that back foot. Keep pressing down through the left heel, firm the outer left hip in. Drop the right hip down. Stay for one more breath. Exhale, bend the front knee, release that right foot back, lift the torso up, arms back up overhead. And exhale, spiral both arms forward and down. Step the front foot to meet the back foot. Last vinyasa here, so shifting forward, knees down or up as you lower half or all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. Exhale, release, curling the toes under, lifting up and back into your downward facing dog. Stay in your down dog for 2 breaths here. One more breath. And now let's inhale as we gaze forward. This time we'll walk our hands back to our feet. So keep your feet hips width distance. Walk your hands back to your feet. And with your knees bent, we'll come into Padahastasana. So what we'll do is bring the backs of your hands to the mat. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Lift your toes up, come up on your heels, and slide your hands underneath your feet. This is a nice little wrist release here. So you can bend your knees as much as you need to make this happen. Try to bring your toes up toward your wrists. The backs of the hands are to the mat. Starting with your knees bent, maybe you start to straighten the legs as you become more comfortable here. Keeping your balance, taking nice, slow, deep breaths. One more breath here. And now let's gently shift back as you release the hands from underneath the feet. We'll inhale as we lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift arms out and up overhead. Palms face each other. Exhale, hands down through the center and down to the sides. All right, so we got Oliver awake back again. He's reminding me we're coming to our final little peak pose here that we've been working towards. It's dancer pose. So that is really going to involve opening our shoulder and balancing on our leg, keeping our hips nice and square. So come up to the top of your mat. Start with your feet nice and hips width distance. Release the arms down to the sides, palms face forward. So remember when we were doing those arms exercises and when we were on our back, I said to keep the thumb up. So when we release and send our arm behind, we're going to try and keep our thumb up. So starting at the top of your mat, bring your arms back down to your sides. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. So start to shift weight into your left leg. We'll bend the right knee and then draw the right, we'll bend the right knee so that the bottom of the right foot faces back. Now send the right arm up and overhead. Try and keep the thumb up the entire time and then grab the inside edge of the right ankle, just like when we were on our stomachs here. Now, before you move forward, just try to settle back in here. So keep drawing the tailbone down. Make sure both hips are facing forward. Now draw the left arm up overhead, palm faces in, nice long arm here. Keep pressing down through that left heel, firming the outer left hip in. And now, if you'd like to advance, start to press the top of the right foot into the right arm, lifting the inner right thigh up towards the sky. Again, keep drawing the right shoulder down. Maybe you start to shift forward to balance your weight, but keeping your heart up. Keep drawing the low ribs in and up, pressing down through that left heel. Left bicep stays next to the left ear. Staying for one more breath. Maybe lift a little bit higher. And exhale, gently release. Release that right leg down. Release both arms down. Let's just shake it out a little bit. All right, I know it's a lot going on. We're coming to the next side though. So start with your feet hips width distance, arms down to the sides. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale. All right, this time shift weight into the right leg. Bend the left knee behind, flexing that left foot. Now the left arm comes forward and up. Keep the thumb up the entire time, so when you rotate back, that shoulder opens. Grab the inside edge of that left ankle. Now keep that left knee facing down for now. Re-square your shoulders and your pelvis to face forward. And then draw your right arm up overhead, palm faces in. Nice long arm. Keep pressing down through that right heel, firm the outer right hip in. Stay here if this is enough for you, otherwise to move on. Start to press the top of the left foot into the left hand, spinning the inner left thigh in and up towards the sky. Maybe start to shift your chest forward, but keep hugging those inner ribs in and up. We don't want that stomach to sink. Keep the right bicep next to the right ear, pressing down through the right heel as you firm that outer right hip in. Keep dropping the left shoulder down to square the shoulders, square the pelvis forward for one more breath. And inhale, lift back up. Release the leg, release the arms. Let's just shake the legs, shake the arms out a little bit. Whew. All right, let's come back down into a seat. So actually come into a tabletop. We'll allow ourselves to release that a little bit. So start in your tabletop, top of the feet to the mat, and then come back into your forearm tabletop. So release the elbows right where the wrists are. Now keep your hips over your knees. We'll come into a puppy pose. So the hips stay over the knees and you start to walk your hands straight out. As you walk your hands out, you can release your forehead, your chin, maybe your chest comes towards the mat. But the idea here is to keep your hips over your knees and just extend your arms forward to your capacity. You can also rest a block underneath your forehead if it doesn't quite reach. You can extend your fingers a little bit farther out just to add a little bit more to the stretch, releasing the low back, a little bit of a shoulder stretch as well. Just stay for one more breath here. And now begin to walk your hands back, lifting your head up, lifting your torso up. Come back into your tabletop. Send your legs off to the side. Come down into a seat with your legs out in front of you. All right, start with your legs nice and straight. Your knees can be bent, feet hips width distance. Notice if you have trouble sitting up here. If you feel like you need to have your arms back or you're really struggling to stand up straight here, I advise you to slip something underneath. Either roll up your mat, sit on a block or a towel here. So once you're nice and comfortable, we'll come into our bound angle pose. So we'll bend both knees, release the knees out to the sides, and bring the bottoms of your feet to touch. Now you have a couple options here. You can bring the heels as close to the hips as you can, or some people like to have it a little bit farther out. So just do what works for you. Make sure you can at least sit nice and comfortably with a nice long spine. Now your arms can either grab underneath your feet or your shins. Let's start with a nice long spine. You can stay here if you like. Otherwise, we'll add a forward fold. So take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, send your heart forward. Forward fold. So avoid rounding your spine here. Keep it nice and long. Try to send your chest towards your toes. Keep drawing both knees down towards the mat, maybe opening up those hips a little bit more. And if you'd like, you can extend your arms out. Maybe you bring your forearms to the mat. Maybe you can rest your forehead to your toes. But try and keep a nice long spine. You can have a slight tuck in your chin if you'd like. What's up, Oliver? You are all about this practice today. Just take 2 more breaths in your bound angle. Last breath here. All right, let's lift our hips up. Lift your chest up. Use your arms to grab the outsides of your knees. Draw your knees together. Extend your legs forward, but keep your knees bent. And then use your hands to shift your hips forward. We're lowering onto our backs. So keep your knees bent up towards the top of your mat. And now you can hold on to behind your thighs or your shins, or you can just let your arms extend forward and gently lower onto your back. Try and go as slowly as you can. Using a little bit of core work here. All right, and once you lower onto your back, bring the heels underneath the knees. Have the knees and the feet hips width distance. Setting up for our bridge pose. We'll do this one a little bit differently. So make sure you start with the heels underneath the knees. Draw the right knee into your chest, and then open the right knee out to the side. Place the outside of the right knee on top of the outside of the right ankle on top of the left knee. So you're like in a figure 4 position. Now place your arms down to the sides. So we're coming up into our bridge pose. We're only using one leg to support us. So it's really important that you try and draw your tailbone down towards the back of that left knee once you lift up. So arms down to the sides, press down through your left foot, press down through your hands, take a nice deep inhale. And exhale, we'll lift the hips up, pelvis up, chest up into your modified bridge pose. So keep drawing the right thigh away from your body, opening up that right hip. Flexing the right toes to keep that right knee safe here. And again, try and draw that tailbone towards the back of that left knee. Pressing the triceps into the mat. Let's stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release from the top of the spine, middle of the back, low back, last to arrive. We'll release the right foot back down to meet the left. Make sure your knees and feet are hips width distance, heels underneath the knees. We'll switch to the other side. And the left knee into your chest, opening the left knee out to the side. Left ankle rests on top of the right thigh, right knee area. Both arms down to the sides. Keep flexing the left foot. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, press into your right foot, lifting your hips up, pelvis up, chest up into your modified bridge pose. Keep drawing the tailbone towards the back of the right knee. Maybe you draw the left thigh away from your body, opening up that left hip. Keep rolling the triceps down. Maybe you lift your chest up a little bit higher. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Top of the spine, middle of the back, low back, last to arrive. Release that left foot back down towards the mat. Bring your knees to touch. Separate your feet out to the width of the mat. So knees touch, feet out to the width of the mat. And then let your knees just gently rock from side to side. Just a little bit of a low back release here. All right, let's come back to center. Bring the feet to hips width distance, separate the knees again. And let's hug the knees into our chest. Find a little bit of a spinal twist here. If you have a favorite way to do your spinal twist, you can do that. I'll give you 2 options here. You can start bringing your knees over your hips, shins parallel with the mat, feet are flexed. If you'd like, you can drop the knees off to the right side here. If you want to add a bind here, you'll draw the left knee over the right knee. Maybe you wrap the feet, and then shift your hips to the left an inch or two, and then drop your knees off to the right. Got Oliver right my way here. So you'll either keep your knees together, dropping the knees to the right, or if you bind the left knee on top of the right, maybe the feet bind as well, shifting the hips to the left, and still letting the knees fall off to the right. Either way, extend both arms out to a T shape or field goal pose with the palms facing up. Try to keep the left shoulder rooted and then turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Just stay for 2 more slow, deep breaths in your spinal twist of choice. One more breath here. Now bring your gaze back up to center. Bring your knees back up to center. Unwind if they were bound. We'll switch to the other side. So start with your knees over your hips. If you're binding, bring your right knee on top of the left knee. Shift the hips to the right a couple inches. Maybe you bind your feet as well, but everyone will drop your knees to the left side this time. Try to keep your right shoulder rooted. It might have popped up. And then you can turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Just stay for 2 more slow, deep breaths here. Now bring your gaze back up to center. Bring your knees back up to center. Unwind if you're bound. Recenter the hips. Draw the knees back into the center of your chest here. Let's lift the back of the head and the shoulders off the mat. Come into an egg shape. Try and squeeze everything together in. So squeeze, squeeze, squeeze just for a breath. And exhale, release. So let's extend the legs long. Extend the arms long overhead. Point the toes. Extend the fingertips away from the body. Come into one last full body stretch here. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And exhale, release. Send the arms down to the sides. Palms face up. Let the knees and the feet fall out wide to the sides. Starting to settle into our final pose of our practice tonight, Shavasana pose. This is the time to release. Maybe you can scan your body and notice if there are any last little bit of areas of tension. Breathe into those areas and allow your body to soften. Maybe you can relax the muscles in your face and your jaw. Ease your shoulders down. Just allow your body to be heavy here, melting into the mat. And you can soften your gaze or close your eyes completely. Just allow yourself to settle. Finally, releasing any last little bit of control over the breath. Just be here. And just begin to bring some awareness back into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes, and rotate your wrists and your ankles. And switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here on your back. And now gently begin to bend your knees in toward your chest as you roll over to one side of your body. Let your top arm rest on your bottom, top knee rest on your bottom knee. And stay for a breath here on your side. And now try to keep your eyes softened or your gaze closed as you use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seated position to complete your practice today. In your comfortable seat, you can rest your palms on tops of your knees. Palms can face up, or bring your hands into the center of your chest. Let's all take a nice deep inhale in together. Through the mouth, exhale. Thank you all for joining me for your practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Right. Thank you all so much for practicing with me today. Really missed teaching from this location. It's been a couple weeks since the last live class took place. I really appreciate you all hanging in with the schedule and showing up today for class. Again, if you have any questions, you can always let me know in the chat, in the comments of the video, in the description. There's more info if you want to reach out to me. I usually post my upcoming schedule on Instagram, so if you want to subscribe to that, that link is in the video description. Otherwise, next class should be on Tuesday, since our fundamentals have moved to Tuesday. So it'll be Tuesday of next week, September, whenever that is. And yeah, I will see you all there. Otherwise, take how you feel into the weekend. I hope you have a great. Oh, Diana, thank you. Appreciate you checking in. Good to see you. Always nice to see your name pop up there. But yes, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you all next time in practice. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Daniel. See you next time in practice. Peace. And Oliver saying goodbye as well.